So welcome. My name is Dane Boland. I'm the Assistant Parish Administrator for the Calhoun Parish Police Jury. And on behalf of the Police Jury and Tony Stelly, I want to welcome everyone to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Louisiana Avenue Detention Basin. It's been a long time coming. Special welcome to Anthony Barty, the current Vice President of the Police Jury, who I will call upon in a minute. He represents this district, District 9. We also have police juries here, Ron Hayes from District 6, Mike Smith, District 2, Eddie Lewis Jr., District 3, Tony Gilry, District 4, Chris Landry, District 7, and he will also be called on this project to say a couple of words. District 8, Guy Brain, District 9, Anthony Barty, District 15, Tony Tremonti. We also have our Parish Administrator, Mr. Brian Beam, here today. Mayor Nick Hunter from the City of Lake Charles. City Administrator John Cardone, the City of Lake Charles. District F, Craig Marks, who also represents this district today. We also have a State Representative Les Farnham and State Representative Philip Tarver and City Marshal Nate Keller. So welcome everyone, a great turnout for a beautiful morning. We also have folks from the firm of Triton Construction who will begin turning dirt as soon as early as this week, we hope. But last but not least, the most important people we have here are the citizens and neighborhoods. And so if y'all could kind of wave your hands in the back. They've been patient for this project. And today I see some smiles on their faces and hope we can do some really good work to impact the flooding in this area. We also have several local businesses here, from the Crying Eagle to South Beach Volleyball Court, which the detention basin, which is more than just a detention basin, will tie into those companies. So we're excited about that. You know, in citizen surveys, the most important thing that comes out of anything is drainage. We've continued to look for new concepts to reduce flooding across the area. This basin is just another tool we have in trying to lessen the impact in flooding. But I know we're eager to break ground, but before we start passing out shovels, I'd like to call on a couple of champions. And let me tell you, this group has been champions since day one on this project. President Stelly could not make it today. However, I'd like to call Mr. Anthony Barty, who represents this district, to say a couple of words on his behalf.
Good morning, y'all. This is a wonderful day. This is a great day, especially for District 9, but not only District 9, for our city as well as our parish. I happen to be the representative for this district, and like the residents sitting back there, this is a long time coming. Anything that would help alleviate the flooding for this district is a good thing for us, and I think it would create a lot of peace of mind for the residents of this area. And you know, one thing we can say, the parish continues to take the lead as far as trying to alleviate and solve some of our drainage and flood issues, and this is just another example of what we're doing to help our parish, our city, and it just couldn't come at a better time. So some of the things we continue to do as far as storm removal, as far as continuously clearing our laterals, that's an ongoing process. But this regional retention basin, the first of its kind for this area, and hopefully many more, but this is going to be a shining light to this community. And it's going to help a whole lot of people and give a whole lot of people the peace of mind that they deserve just for being homeowners and just for being residents of this area. You know, one thing we can say about this deal is that it didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of work from a lot of people, from the mayor's office, Mayor Nick Hunter, the city council. Those guys have helped us tremendously, from our police jurors, current and past, you know, because this project didn't just start yesterday. And also our staff. Our staff has done tremendous work to see this project from the beginning to now we're at the fruition part where we're going to start breaking ground. And that's a good thing. So again, I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, because you being here just lets us know just how important this project is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barty. If I forgot to notice the communication and media staff, we're being live streamed today. So if I mess up on anything I say, it's going to go out there anyway. So anyway, you know, we talk about champions. And years ago, Chris Landry was driving around. I might get the story off a little bit, Chris, but he looked at the project, he looked at the property, and he realized the potential that could occur on this property. So Chris, as Chris does, makes a couple phone calls, and he says, make it happen. It's taken years, and I will tell you, Chris has never stopped saying make it happen from day one. So Chris, you've been a great champion. I'd ask you to come up here and say a couple of words.
Well, thank you, Dane. Actually, I kind of finished growing up here right there on McCall Street, and used to come in this field. I was thinking about that on the way up here. We'd come over here with our pellet guns and thought about that this morning. I'm pretty sure we was probably breaking some wildlife and fisheries rules with the things we were doing over here. But anyway, I guess good thing we didn't get caught. Back to that live streaming, I just admitted it. So, you know, and we do have police officers in the crowd, so maybe I'm still in trouble. But, you know, and a long time ago I actually represented this district, and we had redistricting and all that changed. Now I'm on that side of the street. But years ago, we were trying to change our drainage ordinance, and I believe it was Alan Wainwright he was our public works guy, and putting on some meetings and trying to educate the jury about drainage and some of the best practices and things that were going on in other parts of the country. And of course the ordinance was coming up, so we had to know what we were talking about before we could pass that ordinance. And in some of those classes, we saw these detention ponds. They were being used, especially in Texas, and they showed kind of what best places to put them were along a lateral, bayou or what have you. And I don't know, I guess a day or two after that, a lot of times I used to come to work this way, and I drove by here, and I thought, well, shoot, that's the same spot that they showed on his program, his film, a couple of days prior. I thought, I wonder if that ought to work, and this property happened to be for sale. At one time they was going to put a shopping center here, and another time they were going to put I think the orthopedic center that's out on Nelson. That was going to go here at one time. But none of that happened, and it just remained for sale. And I called Alan and told him about it. Said, the last thing we need here is more concrete. These people got enough flooding problems already, and you just add more concrete, we're not really going to move forward that way. And so it's hard to get an engineer excited. I don't know how many of y'all know those engineers, but I don't know if it was the next day or 2 days later, and I'm going to tell you what, when he called me back, he was really excited. I thought, wow, this is amazing. So they ran the numbers. They got all this modeling they can do on the computer, and he was like, it really makes a big difference when we plug that in there, especially, the nearer you are to the project, the more benefits you're going to have. But he said it was even showed a benefit all the way at the mouth of Country Bend Bayou. And I think he was pretty kind of surprised, but I give Alan the credit because, we call him with a lot of stuff, and he really took the ball and ran with it. And I know he was doing his job, but still, he's always looking for ways to improve the parish, and I know I really appreciate him. I know everybody else does. So if anybody ought to get credit for this, I give it all to Alan because he's the guy that did the work and made this thing come together. Now the good thing is, I guess y'all got some shovels here, you said? At least we don't have to dig this hole by hand. Let those guys do it with their equipment. And it's going to be funny because these people are going to come by here and don't know what's going on. They're going to wonder what they're going to build there, and they just keep digging a hole. They're not going to know what in the world this thing is. It'll probably look pretty strange for a while, but that's beautiful, and I give the staff credit for that as well. They said this is the first one. We just want to dig a hole. We want it to be nice and have multi-purpose to where there'll be a walking path around it and things like that, and landscaping, and you don't want to just come dig a hole here in the neighborhood. They wouldn't want that, but I think it's going to be pleasing to the eye, and I hope it does going to do everybody quite a bit of good, especially all the way down Country Bend Bayou. There's a lot of people they didn't get a lot of water in their house. You know, it doesn't take much. You get a couple of inches of water in your house, and that's a mess. I know. I just went through that. In fact, when we lived here earlier, we flooded, well, back in the 80s, but I guess everybody flooded then. It may not stop that, but it definitely could have helped them on this last flood event, without a doubt. But anyway, we appreciate y'all, and thanks again, Alan. You the guy.
Thank you, Chris. If you don't know Alan, we're going to call on Alan in a minute. He loves to speak, and so he'll be up here in a minute. You know, true partnerships create goodwill for the community. And you've heard it all the times before. Water doesn't flow by political districts. It flows by watersheds. We know that. And so you have to have true partnerships. And we approached the city of Lake Charles for that partnership, and they were all in. And so, Mayor Craig, I know you're here today. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'd like Mayor Nick Hunter to come up and say a couple of words.
Good morning, everyone. Really excited to be here to announce the largest swimming pool in the history of Lake Charles. And I understand McNeese's Olympic swimming team will be out here when it's finished. I thank the police jury, the administration for their leadership on this. I thank the jurors for their leadership on this. This is going to be a good thing for the city of Lake Charles. It's going to be a good thing for the community. We can't work in silos. We've got to work together. And at the end of the day, it's not my money. It's not Dane's money. It's the people's money. It's taxpayer dollars. So whether you live inside the city limits or outside the city limits, when we're paying money, it's taxpayer dollars. So I'm honored that the city was able to be a part of this. We do appreciate partnerships. We look forward to many partnerships to come. And again, I just thank the police jury for their leadership on this, and let us know when you're ready for the next one. Okay? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mayor. Last but not least, I'd like to call on Alan Wainwright. Alan is our Director of Public Works and Engineering. And I'm going to kind of segue into this. Back in the 80s, by the way, I said this morning to my wife over coffee. She thought it was too corny to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Back in the 80s, there's this guy, I think everyone knows who Bo Jackson was. So Bo was good at football, Bo was good at baseball. So good that they started making commercials, Bo knows football, Bo knows baseball. Alan, you're not Bo Jackson, but you do know drainage. And he has been with this project since day one. Proud of his work and the team's work on getting this done to where we're at today. So Alan, please say a couple words.
Thank you, Dane. Thank you, Dane. I'm not sure I can live up to all of this today, but I do appreciate it. But I'm going to give all the credit right back to begin with to Mr. Landry, because he did make that call that day, and he left it out, but he was pretty excited himself. So I think I might have been as excited that they had listened to our training and the meetings that we had and started to begin to get some of the concepts. And I guess, you know, at the end of the day, what we found there was good partnerships, like what's been described here this morning. And that's really what it's taken, especially to survive basically a 7-year path to today. It certainly takes good partners to get here. I'm just going to try and kind of go down some of the timeline. I hope that's okay, just to give you a sense of how we got here, and then at the end cover just a few of the little particulars of the basin. You've all had a chance now to see the picture, but I'll give you a few of the numbers and statistics just to kind of put it all in reference. But in 2015, that's when Mr. Landry called and we started the process. He had identified the property, and we took off from there. It was in really late 2015, early 2016. We hired a firm called AECOM. They're here today. Their representatives are here today to do a feasibility study on this project, to run some numbers, not only to see if we could fill the pond and get enough water in it, but that we could do enough good that it was cost beneficial. And at the time, we didn't know how much land would be available. It was somewhere between 16 and 25 acres. It's somewhat available at that time on this corner. We ran both sets, and really at the end of the day, both sets of numbers, both ends of the spectrum were determined to be beneficial. it's going to be a great project, but even at 25 acres, it's small in comparison to the watershed that it serves. So we ultimately designed it, or asked AECOM to go into a design process that focused on what we call, or would consider, mid-sized storms, anywhere from the 5 to 25 year event, which is, we've certainly seen some bigger ones in this time frame, but those are the most frequent, and we certainly wanted to target those first. In a major event, I think as Mayor Hunter may have said, or actually Mr. Landry, in a 100-year flood event, we need more tools. We need more to stop flooding for that. But for the smaller, mid-sized event, we really feel like this is going to have a significant impact for the neighborhood here, and we look forward to getting that done. When we talk about impact, we're talking about not only two things really. We're going to lower the water surface on the peak of the flood, and that's really the goal. Like was stated, the last couple inches sometimes in a flooding situation, or the difference. We hear from so many people who are, it's right at their doorstep, and that next inch or two is what's critical for them. So that's why you can determine that a project like this, it's anticipated that we're going to lower the flood elevation on some events up to half a foot. That doesn't sound like much, but it's awful hard to get in a mature, well built out watershed like we have here in Contraband Bayou. And again, that can make a total difference in destruction on a property if we can just get those results. So in addition to the lowering of the floodplain, this project has the potential to shrink the local floodplain in this area, which is good. Not sure how familiar you are with the various things going on in the world of drainage and in the world of flood, and especially in the world of insurance, but the more we can reduce floodplain, the more we can shrink that potential damage, less people are going to pay in insurance premiums over the years. Some of the new systems coming down, the way they're going to value insurance claims, is going to be highly related to how close you are to these laterals. So when we can put a project on a lateral like this that's going to reduce the floodplain, down the line people are going to see reduced insurance premiums for that reason. So all those things come together to basically make this what we would consider a cost beneficial project. A little bit in 2017, we bought the first piece of land here. It was about 14.4 acres. And we actually that's the part where we did party with the city and Gravity Drainage to purchase that thing. We had a good partnership, and we have all the way through. In 2018, we are actually able to add additional 4 acres to this project. So we're sitting at a little over 18 acres on this project to date. We got AECOM going on the design on that final amount of acreage. And we started to get into the process, the iterations of what it would ultimately look like. And we'll talk a little bit more about this picture quickly. But at that same time, one of the things that cost us a lot of time, but at the same time I think it helped us learn and get better. The state of Louisiana kicked off what's called Louisiana Watershed Initiative right there in 2018. And that gave us an actual real opportunity to fund the project. Not necessarily using all local dollars. So we spent a little time there. We ultimately lost a little ground, went through the process, applied in their programs, ultimately was declined on funding. Not to go into that, but we were able to take that process, adjust the pond a little bit and tweak it, and then kind of get back on track. Well, obviously everyone's aware in the 2020, 2021 era, we all went through COVID, the hurricane, really paused the project, and that really accounts for the bulk of the time that we lost getting this project to today. But toward the end of 2021, we were able to get back on our feet a bit, get our engineering department back going, and get back focused on, I guess we'd like to kind of call it normal life and normal things again. So this project was right there at the top of the board to get back going. One of the blessings from the hurricanes was the ARPA funds that you've heard, the American Relief Funds and things. So those monies, as they were able to come down, we are actually going to receive about 60% of this project's funding from ARPA funds. This is in the ballpark of a $6 million program, and that was about a $3.5 million grant, roughly, that's accounting for a significant portion of this project, the funding on this project. Just quickly, if I don't get attacked by the flags, if y'all can still find me, couple of things that are going to be in this pond that are really interesting. And I think it was already said, we did want it to be something that's going to blend into the community. We did not necessarily want it to be a park. We wanted it to be a neighborhood park. I think that's the best way to describe it, where people can walk here generally, use it. Those establishments that are immediately adjacent to it, that they could use it. And we think we've accomplished that in the design. We've had AECOM brought necessary experts in to work on all that and to provide us some good ideas, and we think we have built that into the pond. So the pond will be what's called a wet detention pond. It's going to have roughly about 3 foot of water in the bottom of it at all times. There's going to be a structure that will allow us to control that water. In the event that we know a big rain event is coming, we'll have the mechanical ability to drain that dry in a short amount of time to give it its maximum storage capacity. This pond will have rain gauges and some video being shot, so you'll actually be able to see this pond work live on the police jury's rain gauge system as we get it online. You know, and I'm going to be honest with everyone, this is our first one. We are going to learn a lot about how to operate it. We'll probably learn some new tricks in this, but until you go through one, you build one, and we learn to operate it as a community, we won't know. But I'm sure there'll be some headaches. But we're gonna try and find ways to fix any problems that come up. We're gonna try and blend into the neighborhood and be a positive and certainly not a negative. When you say this, it's about an 18-acre site. We're gonna roughly have about 14 acres of it, a little over that will actually go into storage, roughly about 10 foot deep. This property is well located. It's situated right by this part of the Contraband Bayou. It's actually pretty deep, so it gives us the ability to build a fairly deep pond. On the insides of this pond, there'll be safe mowing slopes to where everything's safe on the inside, but we're going to be able to get about 10 foot of depth, which for the mathematicians and other engineers, that's about 6 million cubic feet of water will be able to be stored here. And if you're like me and you rather gallons of milk, that's about 48 million gallons of milk. So it's a nice sized pond, and really, you know, that's taking a lot of water. What I consider these things to do is be like a parking garage for water trying to get down that lateral. It really is just a matter of parking the water on the side, sort of starving the downstream system of water, which ultimately lowers the water surfaces downstream. And then when it's appropriate, you let the water back out and it goes on downstream and hopefully doesn't injure any properties downstream. In addition to that, we're going to have about a half a mile of walking track. It's going to be an out and back style track. Just the nature of operating the part here, the way this pond's oriented, the control structures sit on the north end of the property. So for now, that part will be fenced off, and it will not be a full loop. It'll be about a half a mile, which will give you a good mile out and back in total. So a good place to exercise. We're going to have some landscaping. We're going to have some park benches, some lighting and things like that, so that, you know, want to build a safe neighborhood park environment where it can get used. We're going to have connection points to some of the establishments over here. I think they're here, Crying Eagle and some others. Some of our ability to work with them, and we really feel like that's going to enhance the entire use of this facility. So, you know, at the end of the day, we'll probably learn what works and what doesn't work, but we'll we'll get that going. This park will be under the maintenance of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury for the time being. We're going to kind of handle it inside of our park system for the time being. Not to say that we necessarily keep it that way forever, but we want to go through the learning curves of operating it first before we see if there's a better path for the long-term maintenance of the surface of the park. We have our contractors are here today at Stratton Construction, and they're ready to get started. The project will begin just in the next few days. They'll be here and the work will begin. This is estimated to be about an 18-month contract to get this done, although with good weather and ability to move this amount of dirt, I really do feel like they'll probably get done ahead of schedule. So with that, I'm going to close out, but before I do, a lot of credit was given to me, but at the end of the day, the real engineering credit, the real work done on a day-to-day basis, I'm going to give that to Terry Freelow. He's been parish engineer in our parish department. He's moved over to Public Works, and one of the first days when he got over to Public Works, we gave him this project to get done, to hire AECom and get it to where we are today. So he's the guy that's put the long hours in, him and some of his staff. And now, as we have transitioned in our department, Jennifer Hobbs, who's back here with us inside of our engineering department, she's going to be the project manager on this thing as we go through it. So she's probably going to field the most calls, but we look forward to getting it done, getting it into the ground, and working out any kinks that we run across. So with that, I'll be happy to wrap it up, take any questions or anything necessary if y'all like. All right, thank you, Dane.
Thank you, Alan. Alan knows drainage. I keep saying that. Before we start grabbing shovels, Alan commented on staff, Jennifer and Terry, but we also have our communications and media here who do an outstanding job. Our facility maintenance department who set all this up. You just don't show up and it's here. And a lot of work went on early this morning, and I thank them for that. But before we grab shovels, on behalf of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury, we truly thank you for coming out today. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to the ribbon cutting, which will hopefully take place 18 months or so. Thanks, everyone. Have safe travels.